Hello, the Uplift Network family. Thank you for joining me today. I'm so happy that you're here. So, my name is Paula. I'm a light worker. I share love, empathy, um, positivity, and the purpose of this channel is to uplift those of us humans on this planet at a time when we're living in a negative, chaotic world, and all we're fed from the media, for the most part, are negative, the sky is falling stories or narratives. And I started this channel because in a conversation with God, where I was feeling unfulfilled. Like, I have lived a fabulous life, done a million things, had different jobs, different, encounters in life, and all of those things have made me the person that I am today. So not complaining at all. But I would sit down and I had taken some classes on it. Um, and had a lot of conversations with God to say, I feel like there's a higher purpose. I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something more, but I don't know what it is. And quite recently, God came a knocking and said, you need to start a YouTube channel and you need to tell my people that I am here, I am alive, I am in this world, I am by your side. I show up and I show off every day, and I'll be doing so more in the future. But you need to show them this. They're weary. They need to rest. They need to know that I'm by their side and not to be afraid, and that I'm here and that my word is here, and that we need more light workers to show the people, bring a movement to show them that for every negative thing that we're hearing or seeing or experiencing, there are so many positive things and there are so many miracles around us. There are so many other light workers. And sometimes we just don't have that nudge. We don't have the media in our face sending that message to go, look here, look here, look here, right? Instead, they have us diverted over here. And whenever you have this much chaos and this much negativity in the news, the first thing you should be asking yourself is, what are they hiding, right? But I always say that's not the whole story. But what I've learned is, no. I don't want to dwell on what you're telling me. I don't want to dwell on what you might not be telling me, right? Like, that's what I used to do. That was always my first reaction. What God is asking us to do is focus on the positive. And in order to focus on it, you need to know what's there. You need to know what it is. So I've committed to starting an army and a movement that says we're going to bring positivity with a purpose to this space. So thank you for joining. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. If you get something out of my videos, give it a thumbs up, give it a like. It helps the algorithm know that this is what people are looking for, and it'll help us get the word out to more. So again, my name is Paula. I was born and raised a Catholic. I do not believe in much of what the Catholic Church taught and what I learned in school, but I do certainly believe in God. I believe that He sent His only Son, who died on a cross for our sins, was raised again on the third day. He died for us so that we wouldn't have to carry the burden, but that doesn't mean that we can go out and live life and just do whatever we want because Jesus is going to forgive us because He already died on the cross. That's not the message. And there are a lot of people who believe that. So I'm here because God asked me to be here. And each week I do a newscast of uplifting stories, news around the globe, positivity around the globe. And then sometimes I'll do smaller stories. And today, it's really weird. For the past few weeks, God's been kind of nagging at me to say, you want to talk about miracles, so do it. And I kept saying, yeah, I do. But at the same time, my own miracle that I'm asking and believing for hasn't really come to pass. And so how do I get on a YouTube channel and start talking about it, Father, when then it makes me a bit of a hypocrite? And he, got a little quiet and came back with you missing the point, and then pointed me in some directions to listen to some gospel, to read some Bible, to listen to some prophets and some preachers. And the messages I got from it was really funny. It was all related to the same thing, right? It was all related to God is working through His people, you and me. God is working through us to share our light. That some of us have had experiences that if we were to share them, we've lived through them. Some of them are not so great, some of them are great. And there's other people out in the world who have lived through some pretty big things. And when you keep it all inside and you hold your experience as yours and maybe your immediate family members, you're not sharing it. And the world doesn't see it. Only those in your small circle see it. And maybe sharing your story will help someone else who's going through the same thing. So, one thing I want to ask is for you to please, I've said it before, you can put in the comments of any of my videos your own story or your own contact information. I will reach out because this isn't about me. This is about us. This is about us bringing our stories to the world, us as light workers bringing global positivity. And so I want to tell you something that sort of is inspiring me, and it's a work in progress, I'm going to say. So I have been going through some really weird health issues that are on the surface, you're like, oh, no big deal. I have one of my feet, my heel had an injury during COVID, like right before COVID started. And of course, I didn't go get it taken care of. And then it got exacerbated over time and it's become a real problem. And then I started having a problem on my right side where, everyone's like, oh, is it hip? And I'm like, I don't know. The pain radiates, from my groin area to my upper thigh, and then some days down my knee, and other days up my sciatica, and, sometimes in my hip bone. And so you sit there and you're like, I don't know. Like it's different every day. And then I've gone to several doctors, had several different diagnoses, some that say work through it, some that say you can live with it, some that say we need to do a major surgery on you and, you got to have a year recovery ahead of you. And I've just been all over the place. And I got to a point where I sat down one night and just burst into tears in my conversation with God and said, okay, like, I don't know what to do. I can't walk up a flight of stairs anymore. I can't walk down the flight of stairs anymore. I live alone, when I'm here in Nevada. I live in Nevada 6 months and in Florida 6 months, and I'm here alone with two dogs. I don't have any family here to help me out if something goes wrong. Yet I don't really know what to do because here I am praying, send your guardian angel, send me healing, going to these doctors, going to physical therapy, doing what they said to do, trying to work through it, trying to get the weight off that I've gained because I can't be as active as I used to be. And that's another whole story in itself, like how that can mess with your mind. You go from a size 6 and working out 3 times a day during the peak of my life when I was in my best shape to 5 years later, up 55 pounds or so and not able to ride a bike or take a walk for 2 miles. I mean, just those things alone are upsetting. And knowing that it's not healthy, right? And so I sat down and cried and kind of got angry with God and said, I don't know what you want from me. I've asked for healing. I've asked for guardian angels to come heal me. I've asked for healing angels to come to me. I've asked, here I am, Lord, use me. Like, what is it you want from me that I always felt my whole life I've always done for others? And that's when I feel my best. I've told you that before too, right? Doing for others, being of service. And I always have. There's not a minute of my life that hasn't been dedicated to, I was a single mom, right? Raising my boys was the top of mind. Like that's all I cared about. I never had, never went to a nail salon, never had my hair done, never had fancy handbags till later on in life, much, much later on in life, because I worked so hard for them and I worked so hard to give them things that I knew I wanted them to experience or have. And, we struggled, but I made it through those things, right? And so now to have this happen to me, I've just felt so defeated. And I really did. And I said, I don't know what else to do. And so after this third opinion was going to put me through a major surgery with, I think, what would be a whole bunch of unnecessary things, but I'm not positive. They wanted to cut open my heel, shave down the heel bone, detach the Achilles, clean out some bursa, you know, pockets, reattach the Achilles with um, anchors, which would then be absorbed in your bone, cut open my calf and lengthen the calf muscle in a 6 month to a year recovery with no guarantee that it's going to make a difference. And that was so aggressive compared to the two opinions before that that said you can live with this, lose weight, do GLP-1s if you can't get the weight off. Tried that as well. I'm Hashimoto's syndrome. All that did was make me not absorb my Synthroid, which then spiraled into like a weird hormonal depression state, if you will. So, kind of ran the gamut there, right? So sitting down, having this conversation with God, saying, I don't know what to do. But something inside of me was also saying, don't do this surgery. I mean, I had prepared my whole house. I'm here alone, like I said. So I had prepared, hired a plumber, and I had these raised toilet seats installed and bidets to help me, and shower heads that were removable, and a walker and a knee sling and a scooter. I even interviewed a home health care attendant to come and help me during those first few weeks, because just to put my trash out, you have to go down an incline. And I thought, well, how am I going to do that? Um, anyways, so some things kind of fell into place where the orthopedic center that was going to be doing the surgery all of a sudden did a few things that kind of put up a red flag. And I do believe that was an intervention from the Holy Spirit. I always say, listen to the soft voice inside of you. And sometimes we don't know, we can't hear it. Sometimes you're like, is that you, Lord? Or is that my head, right? Is that my overthinking, right? And so I prayed over it, and that's all you can do. You pray over it, and you ask the Father to show you, like, come and show me. Let me hear your voice, guide me. And you feel it. You get a sense inside you that's like, no, I'm doing the right thing. I know I'm doing the right thing. And so I said, okay, I'm not going to do any of this surgery. And here I had all this stuff installed. And so, then your human side is saying, well, you should just go do it, because look, you just spent $1,000 on all this stuff that you had done. It's a waste of money. Go do it, right? So you have to be discerning. You have to be able to know when to listen to your head, or listen to your heart, or listen to the inner voice. And the inner voice was like, don't do it. And then I'm laying in bed going, oh my gosh, like, what will I do when you are in this much pain and it's on both sides? And so one day it would be the heel, and the next day it would be the hip, and the next day it might be both. And then you're trying to, do a little exercise, take the walk, ride the bike. And every time the next day, it's like, a gamble. Like, you wake up and you're like, I should not have done that machine at the gym because now it's worse than it should have been. And then you feel good again. It's just this up and down yo-yo. So I'm laying in bed and I thought, okay, I'll go to the massage therapist here in Lake Las Vegas, which is where I spend 6 months a year. And so I go and I get a massage, and I'm in so much pain. Like, you think I'm going for a massage, I'm going to feel so relaxed. I'm going to listen to some, la la music while I'm like, no, 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 no. Everything this guy touched, I was like, ow, ow, ow. And I've used him before. So it's not like he didn't know me and I didn't know him, and like he didn't know where I usually do have some stress or trigger points. And I was like, I'm in so much pain. This hurts so much. Like, there's nothing you're doing that's making me feel good. And he was like, there's so much going on. He was like, there's, one muscle set is fighting against another muscle set. Like, the piriformis is where I was feeling a lot of pain, and the psoas muscle. And then he would work on that, and the sciatica would start up. And I was just like, oh, and then he'd be working on the sciatica, and the psoas, front of my thigh, the psoas would come up, right? And then he couldn't touch the calf or the heel, and he didn't want to, because he didn't want to exacerbate anything that's happening over there. And I was like, I really don't know what to do. I said to him, I thought maybe this would kind of like calm it down, work it out, but I'm not getting any relief. And so this is a point that relates back to what God was trying to explain to me. The miracle is going to be a journey. Like, when I was asking for a miracle, I was thinking of, Jesus turned the water into wine. And if you don't know that story, there's a story in the Bible. Don't ask me which book, because I have no idea. I just remember this story from when I was a little girl. Jesus and his mother Mary were at a wedding, and the father of the bride came to them and said, "Oh, you need to help me. The wine has run out. And what kind of wedding would this be? What would the people say if they have to drink water the rest of the night?" And he was really begging, "Please, please, can you help me? I need a miracle." And he knew Jesus was a miracle maker. And this is what people had said about him. And Mary told the waiters, the servants, to fill the jugs with water and to go and serve it and to trust. And Jesus blessed this water and turned the water into wine. And so growing up, first thing about that Catholic teaching is that, when you're little and you hear a story like that, I grew up, I'm not little anymore, right? And in my adult life, I still believe like if I ask for something to help me through, I'm going to get it. And this is so bad that it's not, I can't pay the electric bill this month and I'm hoping to make ends meet somehow, and then something happens and you're like, "Oh, thank you." Maybe your car payment gives you an extra month free and all of a sudden you have this money to pay the electric bill, right? Those kind of things that always happen. This one's a big one. And so I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I was thinking I'm going to ask for this and I'm just going to wake up tomorrow or the next day or maybe over several days and it's going to be less and less and less, like those days when it's not so bad. Maybe tomorrow it'll be less bad and the day after that it will be more, less bad. And then the day after that, it will just be all gone. Like that's really how I was thinking. I have to be honest, immature as it is, that's how I was thinking. And so when I had this crying fit, and I went off to this massage therapist, I was even more frustrated, right? Because now I come out of there and I'm like, "Oh, I'm in so much pain." And the next day, forget it. Like, couldn't even walk. And so I came to work that day. I sit for 8 to 10 hours, which makes it even worse. And I try to get up during the day, and I have a sit stand desk that I use, and I just couldn't function. Like, it was really starting to get to me mentally. And then living in this world, right, where there's chaos and negative news and negative media, and because we had COVID, I'm one of those people that's like, "Oh, I really don't even want to go to the hospital. I really don't want to have a surgery. I really don't want to, take it any further." And at the same time, trying to listen to the soft voice, right? And I was like, okay, I guess I'm feeling confident that I did the right thing and I'm not going to have that surgery, but like, I don't know where to turn. And I'm still having this conversation every night in bed. And so the massage therapist texts me out of the clear blue and said, "Do you have a minute to talk?" And I thought, well, that's odd, but yeah, sure. And he's talking and he said, "I've been thinking about you. I've been thinking about how bad I feel that I wasn't able to help you, but I know somebody who maybe can help you." And I thought, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "Who's that?" And it was a orthopedic stretch and myofascia specialist. And I was like, "Okay, what's all that?" And he explained to me, "Well, she does a lot of stretching. She does myofascia, but I don't think she's going to do that with you. She's going to just do an assessment, but here's her name and number, and this is her website, and see if you can get an appointment." Well, of course, I couldn't get an appointment right away. So about a week later, I got an appointment and I went to see her, and her name was Claire. And I explained to her the situation as briefly as I could. And she said, "Okay, I'm going to do an assessment. You're going to go lay on this table and you're going to see me doing this a lot." And she's like, "Don't think anything of it. Just ignore me." And I'm thinking, "Oh my God, like, who is this lady? What is she doing? Am I going to be laughing the whole time? Like, what does she mean? She's going to be doing this." She said, "It's going to be my way of doing an assessment and counting. And then at the end of an hour, I'm going to tell you what I think we need to do for you." And I was like, "Okay." And in my head, I was like, "This is weird, and it's another $90 that I don't have, right?" And I'm like, "Okay." And I'm thinking, trust, right? Trust in the process. And while I'm laying there and she does a little stretching, like she would lift your leg to see, like, how does that feel? Can you lay on your side? Can you let one leg fall off the side of the table? And the whole time she's doing her thing and she's chatting, very lovely lady. Um, and I'm laying there thinking, you know what? Maybe this miracle is going to take a journey. Like, it didn't happen overnight. It happened progressively over time. Like, that's a story for another day. But this situation I'm in happened progressively over about a 6 year period and on and off. And the time period, I just lived my life around it, right? And I'm asking for a miracle for which the time period seems to be taking a very long time. But again, the problem didn't happen overnight. And I hear the Holy Spirit saying, the fix isn't going to happen overnight either. Trust in the process. So she says to me when she's done, your pelvis is off and we can fix that. And she does some stretching and movements. It says it was really off. It was tilted and leaning forward or something. And I was like, really? Like, how did that happen? And she's like, I don't know. She said, but what you have is a problem in your L4, L5, S1 of your spine. I'm like, my spine? I'm like, my back doesn't hurt. And she was like, that's where your problem is. And she said, so I'm going to recommend you go to this as a chiropractic place. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 because the massage therapist also said you can see clear, or you could go to this chiropractic place in Nevada, in Henderson. And I said, oh, no, none of that cracky crack stuff. I don't do any of that. And he didn't push it. And she said, no, no, it was the same place. And she said, no, no, this place has alternate therapies. They do the cracky crack stuff, but they have what's called spinal decompression. And if that is something that could help you, you need an assessment from someone who understands that. And so she said, so go there and tell them I sent you and tell them that when you see the doctor, tell him so and so. She gave me some guy's name. And she said, when you give him that name and say, their orthopedic said to, think about this person and that's she thinks I have something similar. So I go home and I'm like, oh, okay, let me go to this website now because your insurance doesn't cover any of this, of course, because it's helping you, right? Or you hope it's going to help you. And I thought, well, that's one of my good signs is that if the insurance doesn't cover it, I'm going to be really positive that it probably is going to be helpful because they only don't pay for things that do cure you. They pay for everything that's medicine related or surgical related, but they don't pay for true things that help you. My experience. So I come home and I go on the website. I'm like, okay, that was a weekend. I said, I'll call on Monday. And as I'm laying in bed, this little voice inside said, there's 2 miracles that have happened for you so far. And I'm laying there and I'm like, 2 miracles have happened to me so far. Like, how's that figure? I'm laying in bed. I'm in a lot of pain every night, barely get up the stairs to go to bed and get the dogs up the stairs, lift them up to put them on the bed. And I'm like, And I'm laying thinking about it. And I'm like, my massage therapist was a bit of a miracle person. He was the first person who said you could go to this chiropractic place or you could go see this other orthopedic person that might be able to gauge what's going on before you go here, your choice. And then Claire, as odd as that assessment was, never had anything like that before. It was super cool. I would recommend her in a heartbeat to anybody. And maybe I'll put the links down below for the people. She was a little miracle in herself because she's diagnosing something just looking at me. Okay. And then I realized, oh, I had an MRI last year, 2 of them, one on my ankle and one on my lumbar spine because I kept saying this pain on the right was so severe. And the doctor, I had 2 opinions in Florida. The first orthopedic surgeon said, you don't need a hip. There's nothing wrong with your hip. And I said, well, then can I get a MRI of my lumbar spine? Maybe it's something there. Maybe I have a pinched nerve. And he said no. And his assistant said, it's your body. I'm gonna say yes. And she gave me a script. So when I went for my MRI, I did 2 different ones in 2 different places because you can't put me in that tube. I had to be able to be outside it. Anyway, and so I remembered I had that. And so I pulled it out and I read the description I'll do that right now, actually. I pulled it out just for kind of shits and giggles to see see if it was comparable to what Claire was saying. And listen to this. Now, she didn't even have a report. I didn't even remember I had a lumbar spine MRI. And this diagnosis, which the doctors in Florida said, oh, that's just age, you can live with that, said, listen to this, L4-5, exactly what she had said. There is a broad disc bulge that flattens the thecal sac. There is slight disc desiccation and facet arthrosis. There is also slight anterior spondylolisthesis. I hope I said that right. And then it goes on to say L5-S1, exactly what Claire said. There is a disc desiccation with a mild disc bulge and facet arthrosis. There is mild bilateral foraminal narrowing. So when I read that, I hadn't called this chiropractic place yet, I was like, oh my gosh, like, thank you, Father. Because here was someone who wasn't a doctor, like in an office looking at an MRI where you go and you tell them your problem. This was, saw her through her practice, where this is how she does her analysis. It wasn't in her office. It was here at like Las Vegas Country Club where I live, where she owns her own practice, but she does these myofascial stretch in a class here as well. Um, I forget what it's called, but she does a special class here once a month as well. So I didn't know who she was. She didn't know who I was. She had no medical records from me. She had no MRI to view. She had no report to read from. I was impressed. So there is my miracle worker too, right? So do you see the journey of being put in touch with the right people who hopefully will get me to the miracle that I'm looking for, which is to be able to walk, to be able to be active, to be able to get back to an active lifestyle, to be pain free, to be able to go back to Florida. I have a granddaughter who's going to be 1 in December. It's my only grandchild right now. I want nothing more than to be able to go back and walk with her, play with her, and not be in pain, not get on the floor to play and have to be like, okay, give Nona 10 minutes to get back up again. I want nothing more than to be able to walk my dogs, let them run up a flight of stairs and run down the flight of stairs, and I can go and go up the stairs as well to put my laundry away or whatever that may be. So that said, that is the first part or the preface to what I'm going to do now. Sorry, I do get a little emotional on that one just because it's been so many years of so many different stories and so much frustration around just wanting my life back. That's all I want is a happy, healthy life where I've asked God, please, Father, make me healed and whole and well. And I do say that all the time, healed and whole and well. And I sing the miracle song. I've sung the miracle song for so many people and I've watched amazing things that I'm also going to do some special, um, you know, videos on those. But for this, I'm going to end it here because I've kept a diary now. I'm going to tell you all about the chiropractic spine kind of center that I'm going to. And I'm going to walk you through my journey in multiple videos because I'm only in week 2. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you got something out of this video. And the point of this video is to say there are miracles all around us. They don't happen as quickly as turn the water into wine. They happen through us and among us and from human to human, person to person, because we all have gifts to share. And each of our gifts contributes to somebody's miracle. And so I really, really appreciate you. I hope you like and subscribe and watch for my upcoming video. Talk soon. Thank you so much.